Boy, this video has been a long time coming. In my 5 years on this platform, I have mentioned this topic countless times, constantly saying leave a like or a comment if you want a full video on this. You guys left the likes, you left the comments, but where's the video? And frankly, I haven't made it because I'm lazy. We all know I have a habit of never shutting up, and I feel like if I just lift the lid off of this box, I'm never gonna be able to close it because I have so much to say. I've never mentioned any of this before, so if this video is like an hour long, don't say I didn't warn you. I expect all of the watch time, all of the likes, and all of the subscriptions, okay? But we're about to finally jump into it, but not before one brief advertisement. The 100k hoodies are here, baby, and they are looking so good. They are so comfortable. Check them out at refraction.shop and use code XMAS until the end of December for 10% off. And without further ado, it's finally time to dive into the rise and fall of my Minecraft server. Damn, that title sounded cooler in my head. It's so weird to be talking about this on my YouTube channel because it feels like this secret chapter of my life that's just being banished to the shadow dimension, never to see the light of day ever again. There's little evidence of this server ever even existing besides a few low quality YouTube videos, some screenshots out there, and actually it's also permanently engraved into my YouTube channel, so that's great. I can't change that. And for those of you wondering, yeah, that's why my channel URL is Call of Duty owner, and I will never be able to change that. Call of Duty is my old username, and I used to be the owner of this server, so put the two together, and that's why that's my channel's username. And YouTube won't let me change it. Thanks, YouTube. I still get roasted for that on the daily. Anyway, this wasn't some tiny little Minecraft server that I played on with friends. This was actually a pretty huge Minecraft network for the time that it existed, and thinking back on it, I didn't actually realize just how successful I was. As a 13 or 14-year-old kid, I was making about the same, if not more, than I do now as a 20-year-old man with 100,000 YouTube subscribers. That just blows my mind. I don't know what I did with all of that money. It's like it just vanished. If we wind the clocks back all the way to 2012, I had just started high school and I wanted a way to make friends. So as this nerdy, shy, awkward little kid, I mean, I turned into a Minecraft YouTuber. What else did you expect? I thought the best way of making friends would be to make a Minecraft server. I'm honestly surprised I didn't get bullied for this, and somehow it actually worked. Some of my closest friends to this day, like our friendships were actually forged on this server because we knew each other in school and we'd have like surface level conversations, but we never really hung out after school. So being able to go on this Minecraft server with them and like talk with them all night, this is where our relationships truly formed. And now nearly a decade later, we all still hang out and all have the number 7 tattooed on us. So that's quite weird, but honestly, this Minecraft server was super special to me for that reason. But anyway, it wasn't anything special. It was just a survival world. The IP was just a bunch of numbers and it was whitelisted to me and my friends only. So can you imagine our surprise when one day after school we're just hanging out as usual, my friend has the idea to build a spawn, we build a super fancy looking spawn, I mean it was probably trash but we thought it was cool, and right as we finish a complete randomer joins. To this very day, I still have no idea how on earth he found my Minecraft server, why he joined it, why he found it fun. The IP was literally just a bunch of random numbers that only my friends had. They hadn't given it out to anybody, and even if they had, the server was whitelisted so only we could join. But then this random dude joined, said he found my IP on a website, not like my IP, but the IP for the server. Otherwise, it would have been a lot scarier, you know, but he found the IP for my server, decided to join and said he liked what he saw and was going to tell his friends about it. I was like, okay, this is cool. I guess we have our first player. I then decided, screw it. I'm going to get a real IP for this server. I'm going to open it up and we're going to make something cool here. But first I had to go to the drawing board because I didn't want it to just be a survival server. Skyblock servers were huge at the time. I mean, they're still massive now, but this is really like in their prime. All of the biggest Minecraft servers were Skyblock servers. So I wanted to do something Skyblock related, but I didn't want to do Skyblock. And that was when I remembered that a map called Survival survival island exists. It's kind of similar to Skyblock, but instead you're on an island in the middle of an infinite ocean and you only have the resources of that island to work with. And I thought that would be perfect. But then it turns out having a server with an infinite ocean and a few survival islands here and there is kind of impractical and makes you lag a ton. So I kind of had to do them in the sky. So it was kind of like floating islands in the sky. It was basically Skyblock, but with a different kind of island. But people loved it. Survival Island was a pretty popular single player map, but it didn't get anywhere near as much love as Skyblock. I didn't think it would do well at all, but it turned out people loved it. Literally, people started flooding in left, right, and center almost as soon as I made the server public. It was incredible considering this all happened by accident. Within like a week, with minimal advertising, I spent no money and just put the IP on a few MC server lists. I had like 50 average players on at all times, which was just incredible. The feedback on the server was ridiculous. I had such a lovely community on that place, and I wish I could get them back. Like, honestly, I am still friends with some of them to this very day and still speak to them. They are huge parts of my life, and seriously, I love them to absolute pieces. And I can't believe I forged them all on this server that was a complete accident. It is just mind-blowing to me. Anyway, this server quickly became my life. I literally lived and breathed this server every one of my waking moments. I've never put so much effort into something more in my life, honestly. I would wake up, I would go on the server. I would go to school, I would constantly monitor the server, check the forums between breaks and such. This was actually how I met one of my absolute closest friends, the creator of the Perix pack, because I was just moderating the server in one of our IT lessons. He saw what I was doing, came over, he was super interested, we got to talking, and now again he's one of the people with the 7th tattoo, so that's just amazing. And then of course, the second I got home from school till the second I went to bed, I was on this server just non-stop. The support was just incredible, everybody was having so much fun. I decided to open up staff applications so it wasn't just my friends who were modding everything. I added more features like co-op and a few more mini games, and just generally tweaked the server constantly to make sure it was better. I actually got a ton of programming skill from this because I made a load of the plugins myself, and then proceeded to lose them because I didn't back them up when I closed my server, so I'm quite upset at that, to be honest. That would have been good for the portfolio. Anyhow, more and more people are starting to buy donor ranks. I start to make more ranks, work on the perks for them, code some more stuff, and in turn start generating absolute bank. Like, I wasn't paying much for the server at this point, but I decided to use all of this money to invest into advertising and to actually give the server more RAM, more slots. I hired a network engineer actually to do all of this for me because I was only 13 or 14. I didn't know what I was doing, but I basically bought a dedicated server and got him to set everything up on there for me. It cost a ton, but it was so worth it because now the server could support more slots. We were hitting like 100 average players at this point, and I decided I want to expand the server. I want to have more than just Survival Island because at this point the server's been out for a couple of months and people are starting to get bored. This was before like seasons were a thing, so obviously a lot of Skyblock servers now have seasons to keep it fresh, so every few months there'll be a wipe so you can start over. This wasn't commonplace back then, so if somebody finished their island and had nothing to do, that was it. They pretty much just left your server. Seasons is definitely a nice change for servers now, but back then doing that would have upset your player base because they would have lost everything. So I wanted to do more things to keep my players on that didn't involve resetting islands, so I decided to expand the server and turn it into a network. I opened up a PvP server as the first extra server on my network. Now this was before PvP was even big. This was like a very, very early form of PvP, and I got really good at it. I think I called it Battlegrounds. It was basically like a team deathmatch, like two teams just fighting each other, and I played on this all the time. The server actually loved it. The PvP server was massive, and like I said, PvP wasn't big at all back then. There were no hacked clients. Nobody was really any good. It was just blissful. I loved it so much. Following that, I made a simple survival world. You could just join that, and it was just a regular survival SMP. You could play it on your own or with other people, but it was just a big shared survival world with a few rules, so it wasn't too crazy. Following the success of the PvP server, I decided to open up just a plain survival server. I figured it would take no effort whatsoever, and it didn't, and it actually blew up as well. Loads of people loved this server. There were a few tools we had so people couldn't grief or whatever, but yeah, this was overall super successful, and I decided to open up another server which was purely based off of minigames. As I said, PvP wasn't really a big thing here, so most of the minigames were original ideas apart from a couple like Spleef and Hide and Seek. I actually can't remember what most of the minigames were, but I custom coded them all myself, and the minigame server again was a massive success. I was having such a blast with every single element of my server at this point. And after a few months, I decided to open up the final server on my network, a creative server which I actually used to create my own build team to create new spawns and new hubs for all of the lobbies, and this worked out incredibly. I had such a great team, and those who didn't want to be on it just got free little creative plots to just build whatever they wanted. But unfortunately, like I said, that was the last server I opened. I did want to do more. These all did incredibly well. I didn't really need to open any more, but 1.8 struck. Now, for those of you that weren't around when 1.8 released, it dropped an absolute bombshell on the Minecraft multiplayer community. It broke literally everything. Every single custom plugin I coded no longer worked. This meant that I couldn't update the server to support 1.8, so that basically eliminated the chances of me getting any new players. Obviously, I could have just updated all of the plugins, but I coded almost every single one of them by myself. It would have taken countless hours to update them all, and frankly, I didn't know how. Now, there's the obvious solution. I could have just paid somebody to do it for me, but the question is, with what money? Because 1.8 also introduced the end user license agreement, which basically meant I could no longer make any money off of my server anymore because it prohibited the sale of pay-to-win items. This is why on any big network store you can pretty much only buy cosmetics. I know boosters are a way around it because it does benefit you, but at the same time it benefits everybody else because it gives them like a coin boost in all of the games, so that's their way around it. But if you think cosmetics weren't a thing back then, I would have had to code all of those as well. People probably wouldn't have bought them. It just wasn't looking good for me, and as if all of that wasn't enough, Hypixel had also released a few months before this, so my player count was starting to go down as Hypixel rose in popularity. So the release of 1.8 just hit me as hard as it possibly could, driving every single nail they could as deep as possible into the coffin, hitting full force just to try and take me down, not holding back. And you know what? They were successful, because exactly 1 month after 1.8 released, 1.5 years worth of server building, of community building, my entire job, every single plugin I had built, all of the hours that my players had spent on there, just gone in an instant, just like that, because I had to delete it. I had no other option. And honestly, it sounds lame, but it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I still have people from that server begging me to this day to reopen it, and part of me wants to, but I kind of want to wait for Hytale and see what I can do with that maybe. So that's the rise and fall of my Minecraft server. Thank you all so much for watching. We finally made the video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new around here. Be sure to check out refraction.shop, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.